So, talking about data monitoring, well, at first I think all the audience will ask also, what are your role or your company in this topic of data monitoring? Could you give us a little glimpse, or what do you do?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, for me, it's very important. I have two nephews here in me, so I need to make sure that they feel proud of his uncle. So, yes, in Powen, we like to call us the utility of those who want to generate their own electricity. We help them to generate the electricity, to storage, and to use it. And in all this process, we try to support them and to make sure that they understand what energy means and what they can do with them. We are in Spain, we are in Mexico, we want to go all around Europe, and the main aspect of this is the data. With the data is when really you can inform people and you can give the tools to really use in the proper way their energy.
Okay, thank you. Alvaro?
So I'm Alvaro, I'm CPO at Clevergy. At Clevergy, we help companies such as Powen and other energy providers to help their users understand their consumption, help them save it. And we do this by helping them access their data consumption, understand it, and identify different ways of optimizing it.
Okay, thank you. Well, José Miguel will have the opportunity later to explain himself. So, talking about opportunities and challenges, what are your takes on why this topic of data monitoring on energy sector is a solid opportunity right now?
Well, I always like to say that I have been in the renewable energy sector for more than 18 years, and in all these 18 years, the only thing we have done is to start. So we are in the starting point right now after 18 years. So keeping this information in mind shows you the penetration of the energy transformation that we are suffering right now. So I like to say that it's one of the biggest sector with the highest opportunities right now. So many people don't know this. I think I always say that this is the sector of unemployment. There is no unemployment here. We need people in this sector because there is so much opportunities, so many things to do that any good brain that thinks about how to develop this transition is absolutely welcome. No? So the second thing of this opportunity is that the investors understand very well this. So not only we have opportunities, but we have money to support those opportunities. No? So with these two tools and with the strength of young people is when really we can develop and be in Spain leaders of this energy transition.
I think that's the key because you're matching two worlds, the world of energy, electricity, and the world of data. So both of them are just emerging and having a big slope in order to increase and to develop that challenge that is currently the energy transition. So it's, I think, like you said, it's no unemployment, because of the big challenges we have right now. So what do you think about it, Alvaro?
Yeah, I totally support the trend. I think that we are living in a shift of how we produce and consume energy. By 2030, the electrification is going to go crazy, and more equipment at home are going to demand more power. And the EU knows it, and that's why we are shifting from, 20% in 2020 of renewable generation to a 40%. So it's a completely shift on how we produce energy. It's going to be more volatile and with higher demand peaks. So monitoring for me, it's a key component to understand what's going on the network so that we can really act on it before bad things happen. And I totally support the problem is huge, so there's huge opportunity. There's needs for manpower to really solve this challenging problem, and I think that companies such as Powen or Elwit or Clevergy are really trying to push the society to that new type of landscape.
Yep. I just remember that I forgot to present Elwit and what we do.
You should do it.
Yeah. So, we just are on the spot of this challenge, these two challenges, because we are the innovation and technology platform of Redeia. So Red Eléctrica is asking us to search and find for opportunities and technologies that able its work to enable the energy transition in Spain. So we are just in search of different collaborations and partners that could help us to manage this goal as soon as possible. So That's our take and our proposition here. Talking about opportunities and this good spot on the energy and energy transition sector and data, what about challenges and risk we have? Because everything, I think everybody's talking these last weeks about risks of not only data, but maybe AI, but all about data at all. So what are your takes or your opinion on these risks or challenges just into the energy sector and energy transition topic?
Well, when there is a transition and there is new opportunities, normally there is also risk that we need to manage. So if we are working in a transition of an electrification of the demand, that means that almost everything is going to be managed with electricity. This is fantastic because if we have renewable energy, it's sustainable because we can use those data to be more efficient. We can use the artificial intelligence to take decision or normal decision for us and help us to better design the needs and the consumptions to really be more sustainable. So there is very, very good things on top of the table that we need to work on it. But if everything is linked to electricity, if someone attacks the origin or moves something beyond our control, then we have a problem because we can stop everything. So what we really need to work is how we get all these advantages and we try to make a higher standards of security and backups and plan Bs that allowed us to avoid having those problems. But we need to manage the risk. We need to work. At some moment, we will find some very highlighted scandals of something happening. It's part of the learning curve. But at the end, the positive things are much higher than the negative ones.
Also highlighting the AI topic that you were bringing up, I think that the solution to some of our problems is clear. With more data, you can make better decisions. And then these new type of models, the transformer models that are becoming so popular, they need to be trained on higher volumes of data. No? And I think that although the technology is there, we need to also be careful at what type of data we are feeding to those models, trying to respect people's privacy, people's, at the end of the day, lifestyles. And that's not only a technical part, right? We need to train the people that are making the models and the new technology, be aware of this type of behaviors. And then also there's the cyber part of it, right? Where do we store this data and how we protect it so that we don't suffer attacks on basically people's lives, you know? And I think that this is not only from the information side, but also as we control more things at home, we will need to ensure that our homes are protected and that we can have certain autonomy on the system, from the system.
Yeah, I think those two topics, the cyber or physical security that just surrounds the energy sector and the energy activities, and also the bias or the black boxes we may implement in our processes. That's something we take into consideration very much in our activity because of our neutral point in Red Electric and the energy sector. So that's something we are, I think, investing a lot of energy and manpower just to not go out of focus and to not make a false step into one direction that it may not be the optimum one. Always thinking about maximizing the integration of renewable energies and being safe on the delivery of the energy, of course. Just going a little bit down and going deep on your side, on your activity, you have any highlight project or activity that you may come up here with regarding data monitoring, not AI also, or only, but using data in order to change the process and to have this opportunity to make the energy transition happen?
Okay, my friends, I actually have a surprise announcement. Not so much of a surprise, but just some brilliant news. Jose Miguel Ferre has battled through the Madrid traffic in the rain and is joining us now. Please give him a huge round of applause. Thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome. Bienvenidos.
Thanks.
Excuse me, delay.
Hi, Jose Miguel. We had the opportunity before to introduce ourselves a little bit and just to talk just a minute about our activity, our company. So
Okay,
it's your turn
thanks.
right now.
Excuse my the interrupt in your dialogue. I'm Jose Ferrer. I'm the head of innovation in Renewable Data. We are a startup that works in providing information for the urban transition sustainability processes for companies and governments mainly. So that I'm not sure if I don't want to spend some time.
We also have the opportunity to talk about the opportunity this energy transition is about how it can use the data monitoring and the data analysis to make it happen. But we skip that part. We also talk about risks and how we manage the challenges that it brings up. So what are the main challenges and the main risks that you detected and how do you tackle them?
Okay, we are more related to the climate adaptation risks. We work with temperature, urban heat island effect, and also with drought, for example. It's a recent risk we have, especially in Spain, suffer, and also with other like flooding or biodiversity, the loss of biodiversity in general. I think also the cities are working a lot in this transition these decades and also in the next decades, and there are a lot of opportunities we think in that sense. Also related to the energy integration in cities, of course, renewable, and also integration nature in cities. I think these trends are now are working in different stages, but for me has sense to try to work together.
Okay. Just before you came with us and you joined us, we were trying to just highlight a couple of activities or projects that we are developing in our companies in order to maximize the renewable energy and to make this happen, this energy transition and environmental transition. So any project you want to bring up?
Well, as we are in the renewable energy sector, in the self-consumption, for us, the most important part is to make sure we are able to work together with solar energy and storage, and to make sure we can really understand the needs of the consumption needs that a customer has, in order to minimize the investment we need to do in solar panels and storage, in order to make a cheaper electricity for the customer. No? And we do that in a single home, in a house in Madrid, where we have been able, through the data, to not only having electricity, but also heating and hot water all together with storage and solar modules without any connectivity to the grid. So we have been able to isolate the house. It's a challenge, and the only way really to survive in that situation is having the right data that the company of Álvaro can provide. It's the only way, because otherwise the investment you need to do in a house is huge. The second project in the other extreme side is, and I have mentioned here before last year, is our diamond factory in Trujillo. And the diamond factory in Trujillo is an investment of 800 million, and it is going to create in the middle of nowhere. Every time I say Trujillo is in the middle of nowhere, his mayor complains, but is in the open escape. And we are going to generate more than 1,000 employments. So the reason why this company from San Francisco came to Spain is because we were able to provide 24 hours renewable energy to his factory. And we can do that with storage, with solar panels, but what is more important, with data. Because again, if we need to provide this, we need to have a very quick response in seconds to really avoid having a problem in the production process. No? So two different or two extreme examples, a house and a huge factory, both with only renewable energy and storage, but without data, we cannot do anything. But on top of data, we need the artificial intelligence, because we cannot be taking decisions every time by ourselves. So we need to be able to learn to a machine to take decisions for us to make it much more efficient.
I think it's amazing that you guys are doing that also in manufacturing, where you need to have such high standards of availability, and it's amazing. So we're starting a project with some customers that I think it's quite interesting. On top of the monitoring that we do from the grid, which it's basically the available data that utilities have to bill you, we're installing actuators and sensors that enable us to have eyes inside the house. And what we are trying to accomplish by the end of the year is to have something similar to what Jose was saying, a self-guiding system for the house that can optimize ROI for the customer. Okay, so basically it's going to know when to turn on heating or when to shut off some big load that you have at home, so that your the prices that you consume are low. And then on a second phase, we want to help that user sell their electricity to neighbors, so that overall inside a node in the network, they can be self-sufficient from solar, even if they don't have solar panels at their houses, which I think it's going to be a major game changer inside Spain in the following year or so.
Interesting. In our case, we think we are. I have said we are not working directly in the data monitoring of energy, but also most in the environment. And in our case, we have been the opportunity to have some samples. I think that how the environment can influence in the energy. One of them could be this one of the heat urban island, related to the main energy simulation software that we use that not consider this effect in the cities. They take environmental regional data. Of course, the data monitoring energy take real data. But the software that simulates that, not, and I think this could improve in the future. Other example could be one European project we have the opportunity to collaborate, is related to the combination of the solar panel roofs with the green roofs in the bio-solar roofs. And it's demonstrated that this combination can maximize the energy production of these panels to 6%, not too much, but it's a bit. And maybe the most important of this combination is that the benefits of this type of actions is a lot. So it has a lot of sense to reduce the ROI of this investment, because the benefits in the middle term are bigger than the only solar panels. And maybe one more could be, one more is also a research we have done is related to establish the better green corridors in cities, but also it's maybe a reflection also, but these green corridors can also be connected to solar panels areas, or agrivoltaics is a trend also in other countries. I think in Spain, not yet. But we think this has sense also in peri-urban areas to combine this nature and energy integration. We think we are working in that sense.
Well, for our side, I think trying to combine the two worlds, the energy and the environmental responsibility that we have. As you said, you talk about self-consumption. That's something we don't monitor, or we don't have the right to see at some point the lower amount of energy that is generated and self-consumed in every house or in every spot. So that's a challenge for us, because we have to operate the system without having that information. So as we have the forecast for the energy consumption and the energy generation for each hour of the year, we also have to take into consideration how the self-consumption will affect this aggregated demand. So in order to make our activity go right and the safety of the grid doesn't decrease. So that's a big factor, and we have several projects just in that way. But we also take into account that we have a lot of assets just in the whole territory that affects the whole territory and are in the middle of nowhere, as you said before. We have that responsibility to make them safe and to prevent every kind of damage we could have. Thinking about, for example, wildfires, that is something that maybe we have worldwide in our things with all that's happening in Canada. It's not different here at some point on the summer. So we have that responsibility to just monitor how the corridors are and how our assets and our management of the assets could prevent those kind of damages or risks. So just one last topic to discuss about. Going 5-10 years from now, how do you see the next challenges or the next game changers in this activity of maximizing the renewable energy and the data monitoring and in order to make this energy transition work and go beyond?
For me, clearly, storage, energy storage. I think sometimes I hear people, yesterday I was in Barcelona, and some people was complaining that the big problem of Spain is that we are going to have cheap energy during the sun hours. And I told him, this is an amazing information. We are going to have cheap energy. Now what we need to do is to storage and use it later. It's the same as if you have water and you need to storage. It's as simple as that. No? So I think it's the biggest. But we need to do it in a way that really is economically viable. And I think this is the big challenge, because today we can storage energy, it's doable. We have clearly the lithium batteries. We have, and we are looking forward, and I think will take some time, the green hydrogen. But the important thing is to make sure we do it in an economically way. And for that, data is very important, because if we have very good data, then we can reduce the need of storage we need, so we will immediately reduce the cost of that storage. We're
just on the other side, on the technical part, is easy to store. Well, let's see if it's easy. We have a lot of manpower and energy in order to make it happen, so we will see. We'll try, and that's a challenge we have to address.
It's easy to storage. You have a telephone and you storage energy. And I have a house in the countryside and I have no grid connection. So it's easy to storage. The problem is the space we need for doing it, the information we need for having the security of the grid, I totally agree, and then to have the money to do it. But I think it's something that technologically is viable today.
That's the key, to integrate it on the grid.
So, I mean, storage is one of the high challenges, no question. But I think that we have, I don't know if it's a bigger challenge, but we need to integrate the different agents that are becoming part of this energy transition. And up to now, I think utilities, transportation, and generation was like one agent, and they sold electricity to consumers. And now we're starting to have more players in the game. So we have the consumers now are producing. Now we have OEMs that are delivering equipment to the houses. We have a system that is going to become more flexible, and the rules of how it operates are going to change. So integrating all those interests and activities, I think, is going to be one of the highest challenges, and try to unify that complex ecosystem into something that just works. And hopefully we can help something somewhere along the way.
Okay, for us, we think that the next decades, or almost the challenge for 2050, for example, is to be for a lot of cities to be climate neutral, for example. I think the energy is essential for that. I think it's maybe the best thing we can do. And I think it's available, but maybe these topics you are saying is essential to reach this goal. And for us also, for example, for the climate thing, it's not so clear that we can reach the 1.5 degrees of the Paris Agreement. The experts of that are a bit critical in our efforts to do that. But the real thing is that we have changed our vision for the cities, I think. So we are working now in this kind of thing, to integrate energy, to be more efficient, to reduce emissions, also in mobility, very, very important.
I have a question for you, José Miguel, sorry. I used to say that when I was young, people used to smoke in aeroplanes, in restaurants, in bars, and now you cannot think about that anymore. When do you think we are going to feel the same feeling in the cities that we are not going to allow people to put smoke in the city? How long do you think it will take for a city to do that?
No, I'm not sure. It's complicated for me. I don't smoke, but I feel it's difficult.
But it's related to the mobility, I'm talking about.
Yeah. I think this is changing now. I think we have identified this, that cities in last decades have growth, maybe related to the mobility, to the car mobility, of course, and we are changing this trend. Of course, it's not easy because we have this tradition in our habits, and to change that it's not easy. But for example, this kind of measures, to 2035 about electric cars, of these kinds, are going to this focus, I think. So it's not one topic we can manage, but a lot of actions we can do. It's easier to reach the goal.
I think that's the point. Just for us to manage more complex scenarios, more complex ecosystem around the energy has to take into consideration that it needs more complex solutions in order to tackle this complexity. So that's a key point for us. And also, on the other hand, you are always rotating around the data availability and the data monitoring, but sometimes we have this lack of data that just if we don't have data, we can't make decisions right or with confidence. So I think we have the opportunity right now with these new techniques, with the Gen AI, just to tackle a little bit that problem and just try to not suffer that much on the lack of data. So we can proceed with our...
Alvaro is going to give us the data from the company, so we will have it.
I hope so. So I think that's all for this time. Thank you very much for this conversation and this useful discussion about the topic, and see you around.